You back. It is Financial Literacy Month workshop time, and I'm super excited. Get as many people in here as possible. We are starting 5 minutes early so that we can get as many people on as possible. Today, we are going to be going over putting it all together. So we've already talked about the understanding money. We've talked about cash flow. We've talked about lowering your taxes. We've talked about becoming your own bank. We've talked about um, I get it, house with no credit check. We've talked about all of those things, and now we're going to put it all together. Okay, so get as many people in here as possible. We've got some great things coming up tonight for everyone. We have the sneak peek Sunday, every single Sunday. We have this. You can come in, we can work on your finances together. It is free, and you get an opportunity to actually start working on your finances and getting things moving forward in your life, getting your questions answered from those that have already done it, from millionaires that have already been millionaires, and you get to be able to ask your questions, walk through, and they will help you in every single area of your finances: credit repair, eliminating debt, lowering your bills, right? Reducing your taxes, trusts, all of that right there in that room. And so we advise everybody to get on those calls. The Sunday nights are powerful. I know a lot of people right now are getting ready for the game, the Lakers in Sacramento. Excuse me, not the Lakers, shoot, Golden State in Sacramento. I'm tripping. Super excited about the results of that game. But that's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, right? And so we're looking forward to that as well. I will be watching it. Yes, I will. So I will just let you know that up front. But come on, everybody, get in, get on. Let's make it happen. We are live right now. Invite everybody you know. Share this with everybody you know. That's the other key thing, is that you share it with everybody you know, right? So we want to share it. We want to be a part of it. We want to win with it. We want to make it happen for real. This is powerful, right? So I'm super excited. Hopefully you all are super excited as well. And I'm looking forward to really working with you all, continuing this growth and keeping it moving. The key thing that I want us to get is the importance of what it is that we're doing, right? And that importance is that a lot of people really there's a lot of distinctions that a lot of people don't know, but understanding money was a key portion to these workshops, right? So this is the 8th workshop. We've been on 7. But there's keys to understanding what money, and understanding money is the prerequisite to become wealthy. And as we know, this was not taught to us in the educational world. This was not taught to us at school. These weren't taught in the educational institutions, college. They weren't taught to us. Financial literacy is taught in the home. And so I always ask this question. I think I've asked it on almost every workshop that we've had. And that is, do you think that the conversation that's being held with the middle class and the poor at home about money is the same conversation that Warren Buffett is having with his children, that Oprah Winfrey has with children that she is close with, right? That Jay-Z and them are having with their children? It absolutely is not. That's a different conversation. And so it's not your fault if you don't understand money, if you're not wealthy. It's the fact that you literally had no way to learn how to be wealthy, right? And so today I'm putting it all together. We're going to go beyond credit, right? We're going to go beyond credit, and we're talking about what? Becoming wealthy. And so credit is just one of those points that you're in it. But while we do that, let's go beyond credit. All right, everyone. For you all that are just coming in, that are just viewing this, I want to recap on a couple of things. So tonight we've got a big Sunday night, our Sunday sneak peek, which happens every Sunday. Get on. Millionaires are on there talking to you about being able to fix your finances, lower your debt, um, increase your cash flow. They're going to be talking to you about lowering your bills, pulling all the money that you can out of your cash flow, right? And then being able to multiply that and show you how you can now become your own bank and all those type things. Okay. So that's going to be powerful. If you want to get on our Sunday night sneak peek, it is free. You are welcome to do that. I look forward to seeing you all there, right? And all you have to do is inbox me. I'll shoot you the information to get there. All right. If you see one of our links from the past for sneak peek Sunday, you can click on that. I'll be dropping it after, as soon as we're done with this presentation as well. You'll be able to get that. The other thing that I want everybody to be able to do, I want you to definitely join us as we continue through this next month. This was Financial Literacy Month, but we know financial literacy is year round, right? Just like any of the days or these days that are designed, they are designed for us to continue learning as we go through the process. So this is Financial Literacy Month. Financial Literacy Month, this is the last day. We're going to put it all together, right? And then our next phase of development is we're going to go into the we're going to be moving forward in our Rich Dad Poor Dad series. The Rich Dad Poor Dad series is extremely powerful. It's a step-by-step practical application in order to become wealthy. And it's not just learning how to become wealthy, it's the actual practical application of becoming wealthy. And that's extremely powerful as well, right? So what I want you to get is that you want to stay tuned. You want to stay in abreast with us. We have all of our shows on YouTube. Welcome YouTube. Welcome Twitter. Welcome Instagram. Welcome. We have them all on YouTube. We have them. You can go through Instagram or whatever, but if you can get to our YouTube channel, subscribe, you will know when we go live, and everything is listed in a list that is easy for you to be able to categorize and find, right? And so as soon as this workshop is over, I'll be putting all of these into a playlist. So give us until probably Sunday or later on tonight rather, or Monday, and you will be able to you'll be able to see and share everything that it is that we offer on our YouTube station. If you want to scroll through our Facebook, you can as well. If you go to my profile page, you'll see them all in order, or my Facebook page, Daweed Israel Credit Repair. You can go there as well and see all of it as well. Okay. And so what I want you to understand is we're going to put it all together today. Right. And so, oh, one more announcement though. We are going to be doing our cash flow game. So we will be playing Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game live here. You will be able to work, right? You will be able to work on the cash flow game with us. You can join, you can play with us. But what it does is we're going to be walking through the steps, or you can just watch because we're going to be walking through the steps. This game teaches you finance on another level that will help you, that you can actually implement in your life. And so as we play, or as you play with us, you will gain skills that will allow you to be able to utilize in the real world and be able to take it from one level to the next. We will start with cash flow 101, and we'll be moving to cash flow 202 as our audience becomes more in tune with finances and making money, right? And so it's good for everyone. I don't care what level you're on. That game helps you because it makes you be able to recognize um, distinctions, or it'll make you recognize patterns that are going to help you in real life. When you see a certain pattern, you'll know to move on it or when not to move on it, right? And the more you do that, the more you get your mind trained to sing those things over and over and over again, the quicker you'll be able to recognize opportunities and be able to take advantage of them quickly. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move forward into the actual program for today, which is putting it all together. But in order to do that, we have to go back a little bit, right? And so let's recap. What did we go over? We went over understanding money. That was workshop 1. Workshop 2 was what? Lowering your taxes. Workshop 3 was becoming your own bank. Workshop 4 was increasing cash flow. Workshop 5 was credit repair. Workshop 6 was workshop 6 was oh, what was workshop 6? Workshop 7 was housing with no credit, right? And workshop 6, let me go look because I got to make sure. Oh, was protecting your family, protecting your family's assets. How could I forget that? That's one of the most important things. So workshop 6 was protecting your family's assets, and workshop 7 was housing with no credit check, right? And so we went through those workshops. So workshop 1, understanding money, right? And so the first thing that we understood, we to understand money, we went into the spreadsheet. And because I'm in my car right now, I'm not going to be able to take us through the spreadsheet portion. However, we can. I want you to, hopefully you mentally recorded it. In other words, I can pull it up in my mind. Right. And if you've been watching this and paying attention to this and been a true student, you can pull it up in your mind also. And so let's go through the different categories. It's income, expense, right? Correct. Income and expense. Then we have, that's what, our income statement. We then add the assets and liabilities. That's our balance sheet. We got the balance sheet, right? Then we have our cash on hand, which goes with assets. We have our investments, which also goes with assets, right? These are our balance sheets still. And then we have our accounts, right? And these would be bank accounts or accounts that are giving us what? These are interest bearing accounts that are giving interest. This is what the wealthy use, remember? And then after that, beneath that, we have the interest that's coming in. And so what let's remember how we can recognize who we are at this time. You can have a lot of money but still be poor. You can have a low money and still be on the path to wealth. So we have to look at where we're really at. Okay. So the wealthy have what? They have income, or excuse me, the poor have income and expenses only, correct? The poor have income and expenses only. All right. Then after income and expenses, the middle class have income, expenses, and liabilities that they think are assets. A house, for instance, right? Which is a liability, right? Because assets are that which do what? Make us money, which, right? So that's what the middle class normally have. The rich are going to have income, expenses, liabilities, and assets and investments. They're going to have those things. And the wealthy are going to have income, expenses, liabilities, assets, investments, and what? Interest bearing accounts, high, no risk, high yield interest bearing accounts. And the what's the and right? So just find where you are there. That's number one. Number two is you want to know what tax bracket are you in? Okay. So the poor and the middle class are usually in the highest tax bracket, right? And this brings us to our chart, the E chart, right? This is going to bring us to this chart. So the poor and the middle class are usually going to be in E quadrant, right? They might be in the S too, but the E quadrant. Why? They're going to be as a matter of fact, they're going to be in the E quadrant because they're going to be in the highest tax brackets, period. Okay. That's 37 to 28% that you're being taxed, right? So we learned this in lowering our taxes. Then what happens is in the S quadrant, right? Now you went down. The self-employed are on the second tier of that. They're going to be at the second lowest tax bracket or second highest tax bracket, right? That's going to be around 22% taxed, right? Right. The business owner right, as well can end up, he's going to end up being around at that, the business owner can also end up being in that range as well. 22 to 15% to 18% approximately, right? He's going to be lower about 18%. But a lot of those business owners, when they get to that business system side, they're going to invest. So the investor, right, is going to drop down to 10 to 15%. That these are those quadrants. But we're going to show you, right, if you come to our super, if you come to any of our events that we have, we're going to show you how to do what the wealthy do, and that's going to be pay 0 to 5%. So the goal is to pay 0 to 5% in tax, right? That should be your goal. So your goal, everybody's goal should be, how in the world can I pay no taxes like the wealthy, right? And so we're gonna show you how to do that, and we wrap those inside of a trust in the proper jurisdiction where you end up paying zero tax like the wealthy, right? And you can do that at any time. You Because the way that our program is designed, you no longer have to wait until you make millions of dollars to be able to pay zero tax. You can actually do that relatively soon. Many of you that are listening to this can do it now. And so you want to pay zero tax, right? So that's key. So you're going to determine, where do you lie in taxes and what do you have to do to get to zero tax? That is extremely powerful. So now we move from who you're being now: poor, well, middle class, rich, or wealthy, right? We moved where you are in taxes: employee, self-employed, business owner, or investor, right? Now let's move to where you are as far as cash flow is concerned. Is your cash flow, are you employee level cash flow? Are you self-employed to that level of cash flow? Are you a business owner that owns a business system where you don't have to go into the business at all, right? You're not working the job at all. You don't have to be there, and your business is making money for you while you're sleeping, while you're out on vacation, while you're golfing, while you're flying around the world. Are you at that level yet? And then, are you an investor? Are you investing your money? Is your money now making money for you, creating cash flow while you're not working, right? And that's extremely powerful. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to get. All of these are cash flow quadrants, right? But this is not what's going to make you wealthy. Cash flow is not going to make you wealthy. What's going to make you wealthy is interest. Interest is what's going to make you wealthy. How do we do that? The poor and the middle class spend money and credit, right? That's how the poor and the middle class become, that's the MO, right? The wealthy do not do that. The wealthy spend interest. And the rich do that too. The rich spend money and and credit as well. That's why they lose it. But the wealthy don't lose their money because they don't spend money and they don't spend credit. They spend interest. And this is the key to the game, right? So they spend interest. So what we want to get to now is understanding the debt cycle. Are you in the debt cycle or are you in the wealth cycle, right? And this is very important right here, because if you're in the debt cycle, right, you can't become wealthy. So what is the debt cycle? You got income coming in, right? You do what? Pay your bills, right? You're short on cash after you pay your bills, right? Because usually your bills are going to be higher than your lifestyle. You try to make up for your lifestyle with credit cards, right? You're spending money and credit. Notice your 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 uh your balances on your credit cards grow, your interest payments grow, and now you have less income. You have the same amount of income coming in, but you owe more. And this is called the constant debt cycle. We were raised to live this way. You were taught in school to live like this. The conversation you had at home with your parents was to get you to live like this. Get a good job, get good grades, get a good job, right? So you could be secure and you could retire, right? Comfortably, quote unquote, which we know that that's not true. You cannot do that. So the point is, because you're actually going to retire with 40% of what you could barely live off of at 100% anyway. So the point of the matter is that you definitely want to get out of the debt cycle. And as we go through the cash flow quadrant and the cash flow, excuse me, as we go through Rich Dad Poor Dad and we play the cash flow quadrant game, the goal is to get out of the rat race onto the wealth cycle, right? And so, what is the wealth cycle? If you are here in the wealth cycle, you're doing very well, right? If you've made it to the wealth cycle, you're doing great. Okay. Now, I want you to mind you, there are many rich people who live in the debt cycle. So, I don't want you to confuse your debt, the debt cycle, with somebody that's just poor. The debt cycle is a mindset, the wealth cycle is a mindset. So even if you are quote unquote financially don't have any money, right? You financially do not have money. You can be in the wealth cycle if you start living and moving in the wealth cycle versus the debt cycle. Okay. That's very important to get. You can move immediately from the debt cycle to the wealth cycle, even though you are not financially wealthy. It is a mindset, right? So let's break that down a little bit. Let's get into this before I go through the wealth cycle. Let's let's look at that, right? There are four categories when it comes to being wealth. There are four components to wealth. One, enough money to take care of you, your family, and future generations. Two, your health, because everybody would give all of their money just to be able to live one more day. Three, you have to have the enough you have to have your time to be able to spend with your family, your friends, and your loved ones. And lastly, a philanthropist effort where you're helping people around the world. Those four components are the components of wealth. What I'm sharing with you is how do we get there? So this is where people make the mistake. And we're going to come back to the quadrants, right? This is where the people make the mistake. And that mistake is they look at these quadrants, employee, self-employed, business, and investor. They look at these quadrants without understanding them. This is cash flow. Remember, I said cash flow is necessary, but cash flow is not what's going to make you wealthy. How can we prove this? The African American community, quote unquote, African American community, does over $1.3 trillion in spending power, meaning we make over $1.3 trillion after bills, not gross. That's our net. After bills, that's our spending power, right? This is discretionary income. I want you to be clear. This is our discretionary income. So if that's the case, then what I want you to get is, even with that $1.3 trillion, why aren't most African Americans wealthy? Why, with us being the number, we would be like number, I can't remember what number, I think number three or number four, somewhere up there. We're up there. We would be as far as gross national product or gross domestic product, we would be number three, four, five, somewhere up in that number. How come we're not wealthy? Because wealthy is a mindset. Wealthy is an action. So we're good at creating cash flow. We're good at making money, but we still haven't figured out how to be wealthy. And those are two totally different functions. And that's extremely powerful to get, to understand, to grasp that concept, right? Why? Because wealth is a quadrant. Wealth is a profession. Wealth is a profession. That's exactly what it is. It's a profession. And so, therefore, you have to determine that you want to be wealthy, and you must recognize that wealth is a profession. Welcome, Clara. Wealth is a profession. So, if wealth is a profession, right, where is that being taught? It's not taught at school, it's taught at home. It's taught at home. Now there are teachers out that are teaching wealth. And that's why I say come on our sneak peek on Sundays. Come to the events that I share with you, and definitely watch these lives, and anywhere you can get any information on truly becoming wealthy. It will be outside of common knowledge. And when I say common knowledge, I'm even talking about the things that you hear about that could make you quote unquote wealthy. They still fit inside these four boxes. So it's a profession. So why let me show you an example of what I mean when I say wealth is a profession. LeBron James, who I give massive credit for his big business acumen and the wisdom, when he was 23 years old, he sought out Warren Buffett, right? Because he understood wealth was a profession. He understood that wealth wasn't taught to him through school, and he never learned wealth. He went to somebody that was wealthy to learn from them. That was number one. And I give him credit for that level of wisdom. So when LeBron James came in, he said he went to go look for Warren Buffett. Now, he is a professional basketball player. Professional. He's a professional basketball player. He's a master, right? Number two in the world, possibly to ever play the game. That's the debate going on right now, whether he's number two or number two, right? I'm just messing with y'all. Number one or number two, right? So the key thing that I want you to get is this though. Warren Buffett, excuse me, LeBron James understood he had to learn the profession of wealth. So he has two jobs, right? He has the job of being the professional basketball player, right? And he has the job of managing his wealth. Though he has a team of experts to do it, don't get me wrong. We talked about that as well. You want a team of experts. Don't try to be the expert, but you must learn it. This is a profession. That's why you want a team of experts that are professionals in that field, because it is a profession. Cash flow is created through your profession. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at it. As an employee, you create cash flow from your job. So that's the cash flow coming in, but it will not make you wealthy. Why? Because wealth is a profession. Your job is not wealth. Whatever job it is, I don't care if you're a janitor, I don't care if you're the CEO of a company. Your job, that is not wealth, is not the profession, right? I want you to listen to me very closely. Wealth is not the profession, but it creates cash flow. If you're self-employed, you can master business. You can know business inside and out, backwards and forwards. self-employed, you understand that quadrant, you can understand it inside out, backwards and forwards. It will create cash flow for you, but it's not wealth. You understand how to run a small business. You don't understand how to become wealthy. That's a different profession. Business owner, you can run a franchise, right? You can develop franchises. You can build them from scratch, or you can hire someone to do it. Now you've mastered what? Outsourcing. You've mastered running a team. You've mastered pulling together a group of experts. You've mastered that, but you still haven't mastered wealth. Wealth is a profession, right? We can take Jay-Z. Jay-Z is a masterful artist, right? When it comes to music. However, his to me, I'm gonna say it personally. I'm gonna tell you, Jay Z to me is a better businessman than he is as a musician. He is one of the greatest wealth professionals to ever live, in my opinion. Jay Z is, period, hands down, like no question. To me, Jay Z is the greatest one. If he might, if not the greatest, he's one of the greatest to ever live, in my opinion, when it comes to wealth creation professional. When it comes to wealth, being a wealth professional, he's got that. He mastered that, right? However, he recognized that was different or a separate profession from his music profession. He might use some of the skills from both sides because a professional is a professional, period. But he might use skills from both sides in both categories. But he is able to discern the distinction between I'm a wealth professional and I'm a music professional. This is what I mean when I say that. Okay. So what I'm saying is you could be in multiple quadrants, right? You can be in multiple quadrants, but don't forget outside of these quadrants is a wealth profession. And it is so important for you to recognize that you must master wealth. So that's why I said you need to be going through these videos as much as possible until it pushes you into another zone and you now are ready to go and study for real wealth. How to become wealthy? What does that mean? Where do we go? How do we get there? What do we do it? Da da da. And that's what we are discussing throughout all of these programs and classes, right? But like I said, you are going to start noticing why there's a wealthy 1% because most people don't study wealth. They study cash flow. Go to school, get good grades, and get a good job. That's cash flow. If they break out of it, why don't I start my own business? They think it's going to make them what? Rich. It can make them rich, but it won't make them wealthy. So they start a small business. That small business, now they've mastered small business. What does that create? Cash flow. Business that now I've moved. Okay, great. I've mastered small business. I'm tired of small business. I understand the pitfalls in small business. I understand the pitfalls in being an employee. Now I've got a business system. They've mastered it, right? But what does that bring? It brings cash flow. Then that investor, boom, I mastered stocks. I mastered this. I got a place to put my money as far as my stock and so forth is bringing a return on investment, but it keeps going up and down with the economy. It goes up and down. It goes, oh, I lost all my money, or I gained some more money, or I lost my money, or I gained some money, right? And then they lose their money. And I'm not talking about anyone. I've been in every single one of these quadrants. That's why I understand them, right? But now I am mastering the profession of wealth because when I do it this time, I'm never going to lose it because I will have mastered wealth. And wealth is a profession. So until you study and understand it's a profession, you won't study it like you did whatever your job is. Or if you went to college for 4 years and you studied to get your bachelor's in whatever it is that you went for, or if you went longer and got your master's, right? Then what I'm saying is you then are what? You worked to get that because you understood that you wanted that profession. Wealth is a profession. You must study. The only difference is you can't go to no college to get it. You got to find the books. You've got to read on your own. You have to master wealth because it's not taught in the schools. And because it's not taught in the schools, the reason there's a wealthy 1% is because most people never go far enough outside the box in order to find wealth. Even this box that we're looking at right now, even this box, that box, right here, this box, wealth is not inside of it. You have to go outside of the box to find wealth. And that is extremely powerful to get that, right? So the question we were saying is, wealth is what? A mindset. Wealth is a profession. So you can be poor and move from the poor financially and move from the debt cycle to the wealth cycle mentally. So the wealth cycle, now the question is, okay, you got income coming in, good, just like you did in the debt cycle. That's good. But now, are you paying your bills or are you paying yourself first? Are you paying your bills or are you paying yourself first? If you're paying yourself first, now you've moved to the wealth cycle. That was one step into it. You're moving into the wealth cycle, right? Now, have you started investing your money? Have you put your money somewhere where it's going to make money? I told you all Acorns, right? Go to Acorns, start an account. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, right? Let me put this in here. Click on that link and start you an Acorns account, right? If you can't click on it, copy it. All right. That's very important. If you can't click on it, copy it, type it in, or whatever. This is important. Start you an account. Get an account. That is extremely important. All right. Get you an account. Then what are we going to do? You're investing money. And I told you to get the Acorns account because you can start with $5. You don't have to have a bunch of money for that. It's going to get you in the process of investing because that becomes a habit. See, you're right now in the process of spending. You're not in the process of investing. So because you're in the process of spending, right, what happens? You're spending money instead of investing money. And until you can get in the process of investing money, the habit of it, it's going to be hard. You're going to stay in the debt trap, in the debt cycle, right? You'll be stuck there. Now, after that, are you spending credit or mastering credit? What do I mean by that? Are your credit cards maxed out? Are your credit cards maxed out? Or are you using credit to get the highest credit score, right? And keeping your debt to ratio premiums proper? Are you just putting one bill on a credit card and paying it off so your score keeps going up? Or are you caught in the debt cycle of using your credit to keep up with the Joneses? If you are mastering credit, monitoring your debt to credit ratio properly, putting a bill on a card so your score keeps going up, Now you're mastering credit. You've moved from credit destruction to true credit repair. Now you're going to be prepared when an opportunity presents itself to do what? Invest with credit instead of spend credit. Invest with money instead of spend money. Now you're going to get a return on investment and possibly move from the S or B quadrants or even E quadrants into the I and add the I quadrant. And now that you've got the I quadrant, you've got that cash flow coming in, you're getting a return on investment, right? But we still haven't hit wealth yet. When are we going to hit wealth? We're going to hit wealth when we start taking that money that we've made from our investments, from real estate, from liens, from tax liens in our benefit, from stocks, options, all of that, and we take those things and we're taking the money from that and we're throwing it into our high yield, no risk, interest bearing, no non-taxable in or out accounts, right? Now, once we do that, then what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen is we're going to start getting interest payments, and that's going to become our money. When your money becomes your interest payments, you have mastered the wealth cycle. Now what you must do is do what? We got to go to protect my family's assets. Now it's time for you to protect your family. Don't get me wrong. Even if you're in the debt cycle and you have assets, it's time to protect your family's assets. But you need to move to the wealth cycle mentally and then physically implement the wealth cycle. Okay. So you have to do that in order to become wealthy. But what I want you to get is once you've actually got interest coming in as your income, meaning you're living off of interest, you're not living off of investments, you're not living off the money coming in from your businesses, you're not living the money coming in from your job, you're living off of your interest. Your lifestyle is based on your interest coming in. You are wealthy. You hit what you're in the wealth cycle. But to become fully wealthy, you must protect the family assets. When you do that, your future generations will be wealthy forever. This is the key to the game. So your first step, if I'm going to start, let's say you were poor, right? We have nothing, zero. All we have is some income coming in from welfare, social security, a job, or something like that. We're going to start poor all the way, broke, right? And I want you to recognize something. There's something that I've noticed that's super powerful about the poor and I would say the rich and the wealthy can have this also. The middle class don't have this, but the poor and the rich are almost identical. And yeah, kind of. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I want to come back here. This is something that most people do not identify. You're if you can grasp this concept as a poor person, and when I say poor, you're stuck in the debt cycle and you only have income and expenses, right? The majority of poor people, the majority live off of residual income and they know it. That's why a the average poor person never aspires to be anything greater than poor. I'm going to show you what I mean. You were purposefully taught to be poor. You weren't even taught purposely. No, you weren't taught to be poor. That's not true. You were put into a fear to be poor. You were feared into it. How would I say that? You were put in fear, and that's what kept you poor. Let me show you what I mean. Both the wealthy, if you're on the B side, like on the right side of the quadrant, you get paid without going to work. Welfare is payment without going to work. Social Security, Medicare, all that, or not Medicare, but Social Security, um, they got a bunch of stuff. The different things, Section 8, all that is designed for you to be able to have housing and be paid without ever having to work, right? But they told you in order to get it, you can only make a certain amount of money, right? If that's true, please put true in the text, right? All my people. Now, if that is the case, right? If that is the case, then I want you to get this. What does that really mean? That means you're afraid to make money. Now, there's ways around that legally, ethically, and morally where we can set it up so you can make more money and still receive that. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. What I want to talk about is so therefore your goal, your aspiration is to make sure subconsciously, this is a subconscious thought. Your subconscious thought is to stay as broke as possible, right? That's your goal. Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's the rich and the wealthy's goal to stay as broke as possible also. Did you know that? Except they get a different level of benefit. I want you to imagine a welfare check coming into you every single month. That's $1 million instead of what you're presently getting. I want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to feel me right now. Imagine being able to get a welfare check every single month. That's $1 million. Or a social security check or whatever you get. Disability. That's the word I was looking for before. Disability, right? I know people who actually purposefully put their children on meds so that they can get money, right? I mean, seriously, that's how sick it gets. But you've been feared into that. You've been put purposely put in a fear. But just imagine that, and you don't have to make any concession, right? No concession has to be made whatsoever. If you can really feel me on that, right? If you can really feel me on that, this is what the wealthy and the rich live on. The rich not as much as the wealthy do. The wealthy are more like that. So what happens is you get caught up not understanding this concept and you remain poor because you're afraid to become wealthy. So you don't even move the middle class because you like the middle class. They got to go to work every day. So you don't do that. That's what you see. You see the middle class. You don't see the rich and the wealthy. They're off on the golf courses playing and flying around the world. So until you start traveling around the world and you start doing those things, you're not going to really see the wealthy. You ain't going to be able to kick it with them. But I've got to kick it with the wealthy, right? So I want you to understand when you get to kick it and when you understand they ain't doing nothing no different than you, they just learned how to do it better than you. You got what I'm saying? They just learned how to do it better. That's why most self-made millionaires were poor. They weren't middle class. Some were middle class. I ain't gonna say that. That's not true all the way. But most of them were poor and became wealthy because the mindset is the same. The game is the same. They just learned how to do it better than you. That's it. So now let's master what they learned how to do. We're going to talk about that right now. So what they learned how to do is move from the employee or getting or income coming in from welfare and all that to understanding setting up what's called a business entity. That business entity is another person. Let me explain to you what I mean. A business entity, a corporation, an LLC, an S corp, a limited partnership, those are people. That's right. Burger King Incorporated, whatever it's in, whoever whatever the corporation is a considered by this government a person. It is a person. It is a literal living, breathing entity. This living, breathing entity can make money, not attached to you. I'm going to repeat. This living, breathing entity, right, can make money that's not attached to you. Because it can make money that's not attached to you, therefore, you didn't make any money this year. The corporation did. XYZ Corporation made the money, not you. Do you understand? That is very important to get. That's a very important distinction. I'm not going to go too deep into that. We will as we go through the Rich Dad Poor Dad series and we grow through that because I don't want to confuse, because I want to keep this very basic. But what I am saying is you can maintain your status and start building wealth with the monies that are coming in that you're presently getting from the government. What do I mean by that? You already can pay your bills and do everything that you already do with it. You might have extra money coming in from it that you want to invest, right? We might be able to move into the wealth cycle. You can start paying yourself first. So when that comes in, now you can start investing some of that money. You might need to develop a corporation. You might need to do this, do that, but you need to get with the experts first. You need to get with us and and put a plan together. But what I am saying is you can move from wealth, right? You can move from poverty to wealth without losing your benefits while you're developing it. So, how do they not pay any money? One of the ways is they make sure that they have a corporation, right? That is not attached to them, right? And then now they didn't make the money, their corporation made it. So then they do what? Then they understand becoming an investor will lower the amount that that company is going to get hit. So their business is investing as well. But then they understand wrapping everything in a trust, they can get paid zero taxes. And you can do the exact same thing. You've just never been taught how to do the exact same thing. So now we have to understand that. So so I want to move forward now into our credit. We talked about the investment. No, we talked about the income coming in, right? We talked about paying yourself, but let's talk. And then we talked about investing. You're going to take that money and invest it to move to the wealth cycle. But now let's talk about credit. Why do we want to get our credit repaired? See, the average person, I'm going to tell you why they want to get their credit repaired. Because I've repaired hundreds of people's credit. And there's a question I always ask: are you trying to get a house, a car, or just to clean up? Okay. Now, when you repair credit, right? When a person gets their credit repaired, the average person comes back to me to repair their credit again. I did the same thing. Don't feel bad because it's the first time I ever had good credit. I went out there and I went crazy a little bit. But I got it because I master payment history, which we talked about already. Go back to the credit repair. That was the fifth workshop. Go back to the fifth workshop. Watch that if you need information on credit repair. Pay, but I mastered my payment history. Therefore, all I have to do is pay off my balances and my credit will shoot back above where it was before, which was 730. So I got my credit from 560 to 730 in 2 months, but I can do it overnight now. So I can take my credit right now. I think my credit is 554 because of the balances. But as soon as I pay them balances off, which I'm about to do, my credit overnight will shoot back up to 730. Or if not, it should be above because I got more credit. I've got history of longer histories of credit. I've got all that now, and my credit sheet is perfect. You got what I'm saying? So if you listen to the credit uh, the piece that I did, I show you how to make sure even though your credit score goes down, you never have bad credit. I teach you how to do that on there. Okay, so here's the deal though. But why do we get credit? We get credit because we want to spend credit. That's why people are getting credit. That's why everybody wants to. I want my credit repaired. Why? So I can buy some more stuff. Buy some more what? Liabilities. That's what we want to buy. That's why people get their credit repaired. So they can go out and buy more liabilities. But what does wisdom say? Wisdom says what? Wisdom says no. Get credit so that you can get your interest rates lower on all of your investments and take that money and buy assets. And assets, according to what we've learned, is what? Assets are things that bring money into your pocket. So if it's not bringing you in any money, it is not an asset. Correct? It's not an asset. Period. So you only want to use credit to buy something that's going to bring you money in so you can pay that card off immediately. You don't ever want to pay interest, especially if you get the kind I like. I get the kind like it's zero interest unless I don't make my payment that month, and then they'll charge me interest until I make that payment. So I try to stay out of the interest, right? That's your goal. You want to stay out of that interest. So you only use your credit to pay for something that you know you're going to be able to pay it back without no interest on it. Okay? So you're investing. That's your purpose. You want to get as many assets that are bringing in cash flow as possible. That's your goal with the credit. That's your only goal with credit. That's the proper goal, right? And we discussed that. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is home ownership. And remember, I said home ownership is a liability, correct? Home ownership is a liability. So why do we want to be able to get a home? I'm going to explain to you why. It does two things. First of all, I would advise you to get a home that has like a duplex, where you can rent the other side out. That's the number one. If you can do that and you can get a home that's a duplex where you can rent the other side out, that right there is an income producing asset. You just turned your home from a liability into an asset. That's the quickest, easiest way. But if you just get a home, because you might just want a house, and I like living by myself. I don't want nobody near me living around me, really, at all. I like that. That's me. I like being by myself because I'm never by myself in reality. I understand that. I'm never by myself. So I like that because that's my space, right? I like being out in the woods and the wilderness. I like all that stuff. I love it. I love nature. I love it with a passion. So I'm saying that to say you might not want to. You might literally want to just be yourself, right? I mean, like you might just want to be out by yourself. So if that's the case, that's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. However, the average person that doesn't have a home, their credit, I mean, excuse me, their net worth is around $5,000 to $6,000. The average person that owns a house, their net worth overnight shoots to about $200,000. Now, what can you do? You can pull equity out of that house and you can borrow against your net worth, right? You can borrow against it. So, what are we borrowing and pulling money out for? Many people try to do it to repair their home, this, and that. Now, that's more liability. You're going to pull it out to do what? Get more assets. Assets do what? Bring in money into your pocket. So you can borrow against that house to bring in an asset that will offset the cost of the house first. You could then borrow against that house again and be able to bring it into, it'll put you in a position where you can win, right? And start having extra monies come in. Now, once we get all of these assets that we've been talking about accumulating, and this money is coming in from the assets, what are we going to do with that money? And that's where we went into our workshop 3, becoming your own bank. And this is a very important workshop right here. This workshop was so important that it was 4 parts. And 3 of those parts were historical treatise. That's how important understanding banking was, right? So once we do that, there's 2 things that you could do. You could actually do your trust right then, because you want to put your asset, which is your home, your liability actually, but it is something that you do want to protect that nobody could ever touch. You want to put that into our 3-tier bulletproof, uh right, proper jurisdiction trust. You want to do that. Okay. You want to put it inside of that trust so that nobody can ever touch your home, period. You good, right? You want that to be free and clear, non-touchable asset, period, or liability even, right? And we're going to turn it into an asset because we're going to be able to use the money out of it properly. That's going to create an asset to offset where it's going to actually balance out to be a zero. It's not going to be a liability or an asset. It's actually going, well, it could be if you decide to keep using it to pull money out of it, it'll end up being an asset and we'll erase the liability, right? So the key, which is the mortgage, the key point is though that we want to, so you're going to become your own bank, right? So now you're going to get the high yield savings or the high yield interest bearing accounts, non-taxable, right? That means coming in or out. They can never be taxed on the money going in or coming out, right? And they are interest bearing, high yield, no risk, with no risk, right? So I want you to get, and we dealt with that in becoming your own bank. We also dealt with that a lot in understanding money. We dealt with that in understanding money also. So why do I want you to understand this and why do I want you to get this? Because once you grasp this concept, you are wealthy. Remember, I said once you have interest coming in, you are in the wealth cycle, right? Once you have interest coming in, you have you are I said no. I didn't say that. I said once you start paying yourself first and invest your money, you're in the wealth cycle. You started moving into the wealth cycle. Once you have the interest bearing accounts and your interest is coming in, you are still in the wealth cycle. Once your interest is greater than your expenses, you are wealthy. When you can pay your bills every single day with your interest, you are wealthy. And once you can live the lifestyle, you're ultra wealthy without spending any money or any credit. You are wealthy, you are super wealthy. And this is what 1% of the population ever gets. And the reason only 1% ever gets there is because they do not understand wealth is a profession. So they never take the time out to study it like they did when they went to college. They never took the time out to study wealth like they did when they go to their job. They didn't master it. They didn't practice it. They didn't go to work every day on their money. So look at it almost like, for those that are in the E category, look at it like a second job. For those of you in the S category, look at it like you opened another business. For those of you in the business systems category, look at it, go get you a team of experts that's going to handle it for you. I advise everyone to do that though. Get you a team of experts that's going to handle it. Look at it like that, but you have to learn how to handle it first. So learn while the experts are doing it, but also be studying it as well, right? And for those of you that are in the investor quadrant, same difference. Look at it as if this is how you look at it as an investor. Look at this at wealth, right? As if you're going to be able to put money into an account, or you're going to put it into a stock, right? That will never go down. It will only go up and flatline, go up and flatline, go up and flatline, go up and flatline. Right? Look at it just like that. That's what wealth is. And so study wealth, master wealth. As a matter of fact, a lot of wealth has to do with being the different level of investor that you are. And so wealth is a whole study. But the issue is it doesn't exist in the school system. So you have to find wealth. You have to find the books, look for the books, read about money, understand money, understand. It's going to lead you down a path where you're supposed to be going. Just take the first step. Go get you, like we're doing Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's step number one. You need to be go. If you have not watched all the Rich Dad Poor Dads that I have done, you need to go through them 1 through 7, and we'll be doing 8, 9, 10. All that's coming, but you need to go through those, and you need to keep following along and keep reading and keep studying and keep growing. Keep growing. Just keep growing and keep growing. You're gonna see it happen. So with that, we're gonna close out. I'm going to recap everything. The key thing that I want you to get is that tonight we got the Sunday sneak peek at it's going to be at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Oh, excuse me, Central Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. 7:30 Central Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Sneak peek Sundays every single Sunday. It is a wonderful thing to be a part of. I love them. I think they're great. We also have coming up on the 11th, we have a big cash flow Thursday in Chicago. If you are in Chicago, be there. It is going to be beautiful at the Doubletree in Alsip. I'll be promoting that hard coming up. Just you can click on it, register, and I look forward to seeing you there. We also have I'll be on the Lions Den coming up this next month, probably a lot more, and I'll be doing a lot more lives with other people. I got a lot of people asking me to do lives with them. I'm going to be doing a lot of lives, so I'll be sharing that as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all on those lives as well. And I want to make sure that everybody is clear that 2024 is going to be totally different. If you stick with us, you follow us, you continue to watch these in order, it will be a different year for you. I promise you that. We are about to be wealthy. We are working together. You can come on these and ask any question that you have about wealth, okay? Let me look and see. We got questions right now. Do I recommend any books on stocks? On stocks for the library? Yes, I advise I advise I advise on stocks. This is a good question right here. Do I recommend any books on stocks at the library? If you can get a book on stocks, I would say Stocks for Dummies is good. It gives you an introduction. And I would say I would say for stocks, uh, start with something like that. Start there and come back because I don't want to go too far with stocks. What I would say is I would find I because what's going to happen is they're going to try to push you into options a lot of times with stocks. And before you deal with options, you need to deal with buying long stock first. And you need to do that for a while. You need to go in and buy stock, sell it, buy stock, sell it, buy stock, sell it. And so I'm trying to think of a book that'll keep it real simple where all they're talking about is long stocks. Because if you start, because I don't want you to get into options and all that yet in your beginning because it will confuse you and confuse people do nothing. So I don't, so really start with and I know you personally, Claire, so I'm telling you because I know you personally. Get something like stocks for dummies and start with the regular stock, like long stocks. They'll be called long stocks or regular stocks. Okay. They'll be like long stocks or regular stocks, something like that. Stocks for dummies would be good. But what I would advise you to do, stocks are that's a good place to start. It's good. It is good. Stocks is a good thing because it teaches you a lot of disciplines. The first discipline it teaches you is you cannot trade with your emotions. You don't buy anything because you like it or you think it's cool or you think, and that's good when you talk about real estate investing, which costs more to invest in, and you can do it with little bits of money. But like I said, what I want you to do is make sure you get that Acorns account. I'm going to inbox you the Acorns account. I want you to sign up for that. That's very important that you get that Acorns account because that's going to help you invest and you'll be able to see the stocks go up and down on there, but they're doing it for you there. So that's going to teach you two disciplines. It's going to automatically take the money out of your account. That's number one, which is beautiful because it's going to force you to invest. And until you like that feeling, you won't invest. You have to like the feeling that my money is and let me explain to you why. When you're caught in the debt cycle, right? Or if you are financially poor, the reason we're financially poor is because we spend money. We spend money. We don't invest money. So what happens is until you can get to the mindset when they take that $5 out of your account to be happy because you didn't spend money, you invested and it's going to make you money. Until you can get in that mindset, you won't invest because it's creating a habit of investing. And when it creates the habit of investing, right? Now what happens is you understand the difference between spending and investing subconsciously. And that's the most important thing. It don't matter what your conscious thinks. What matters is what your subconscious thinks. And as long as your subconscious thinks wrong, as long as your subconscious thinks wrong, you could be like, yeah, I want to invest in this. But your subconscious says, I don't want to spend no money. Your subconscious doesn't understand that investing is not spending. For instance, I can ask somebody, hey, listen, we need to take $5,000 and do this. As soon as I hear a person say, you want me to spend $5,000? I'd be like, I don't even want to deal with them because I understand they're not on the level to be able to invest. They're not on that level. Their language is wrong. They have the wrong language. Spend. Oh, no, 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 no. You don't understand investing at all. Right? Because a person that understands investing would say, I don't have the money to invest right now. A person who is broke minded or isn't on that level, they would say, you want me to spend $5,000? I'm like, you don't I can't they need to go study. Right? wealth. They need to go study wealth. That's the point that I'm making, right? So it's the same thing with that. Okay, so so the Acorns is going to get your subconscious mind clicked in to say, okay, investing is investing and spending is spending. I see the difference now between spending and investing. So once you get there, that's that Acorns. Now the next, and you can do that with $5, right? The next thing with the next thing that I like about the next thing, like I said, is stocks. Stocks, you can invest minimal too. You can start with $5, but you got to have another level of discipline and a whole nother level of study for that. So while your Acorns is building, right? Because as it builds, you can take that money and start playing with it and drop it in stocks, or you could take another set of money and start in the stocks. You can be studying stocks. You understand what I'm saying? Now you can study that discipline and then you'll understand it. Now you got this money coming in. Now we can take that money that that you built up in Acorns, and we can take that and we can now drop that in the interest bearing account and then build up more Acorns and put that in the interest bearing account. And now you got monies coming in every single month, right? That's going into the interest bearing account. And at the end of the year, you will have interest coming in from the interest bearing account. Now you're in the wealth cycle. So when it comes to stocks, I would start with Acorns, move into studying stocks, long stocks, and then going into long stock, playing with long stocks and learning and mastering long stock. When you master long stock, you will never take a loss. You will take a loss, but very, very far and few in between. In other words, when I day traded, I rarely ever took a loss. I always came out with a profit every day. The only reason I don't want to do it. I'm about to get back in stocks, but I'm going to play it a different way. But I don't. You have to sit at that screen all day long, and I don't. And then you're studying the stocks all night. I don't want to do that again. I want passive income, so I'm going to do stocks a different way. But but the way to learn it, you have to do that. To learn it, you really have to do that. And so that's why I'm saying you need to learn stocks. That's a profession, right? Investing is a profession, but wealth is a different profession. So now when you say what book is good for stocks, you're saying, how can I now become my own stock broker? Stockbroker is a profession. So you have to learn it. You understand, if you're going to do it that way. Now, if you just want to invest and put it in something and you got experts doing it, I would start with Acorn. Then once you got enough money, I would come over and deal with our experts over here, and we can now start working. And that's $300. So that's minimal compared to the returns you're going to get. Because most people, to get the type of returns that we get, is you have to put up half a million. Excuse me, not a half a million. You have to put up $5 million, a million, 5 million, somewhere around there. So you can get that same return for 300. That's a big difference. And so we're helping the average person get the returns that millionaires get. You got what I'm saying? But most people can't get that because they don't they just don't they haven't studied well. And so that's why we're doing these. Okay? So with that, I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate you being on here, Clara. Outstanding, outstanding. Good to have you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. Again, our next live will be back into Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we will be doing the cash flow game. If you want to do the cash flow game, I will be posting those as lives. You can just put in "I want to play" at the bottom. Put in "I want to play," and if you do, we'll set it up so that you can also play with us at the same time, and we'll keep moving. Okay. All right. So with that, I appreciate it. Talk to you all later. See you all at the time.